Hi, everybody. This is the baseball head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
People have been loving the videos on WFAN, and if you come in here for WFAN stuff, it's the channel you want to follow. I follow all kinds of different stuff, all different media here, but WFAN is really... and people Google them like crazy because of the sort of disruption that they've brought in, which they bring in from time to time. But in particularly now, Craig Carton has returned. He's going to return in January to do Afternoon Drive with a co-host. He's going to do it with a guy called Chris McMonagle. We call him at the Hut the Psycho Killer, because you see pictures of him, boy. You know, but whatever. All good fun. But Craig Carton has been very disruptive, and on Wednesday, the shit hit the fan. On the fan, no pun intended. When all the hosts, and I mean all the hosts, I got videos of all the hosts commenting on what's happened now, because it has affected 4 different people and 2 different shows, and there could have been other shows involved in this situation. But first of all, the morning show is not changing, and the afternoon show is changing. Obviously, the first belief was that they talked to Evan Roberts and asked him, do you want to team up again with Craig Carton? And he said no. So he had to go in the morning. He's going to go in the mid-morning show with Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber had no interest in, I guess, being part of the Craig Carton circus. And it will be a circus, because at some point, he's going to leave. He's not going to be... What do they say about comebacks? Comebacks don't last that long. I mean, if you think about it, originally he was at the station at WFAN for about 10 years. And then he came back in 2020, and he was there for 3 years. That was a comeback. Comeback was shorter than the 3 years. I'm going to make a prediction. This third comeback will be even shorter than the last comeback. Guarantee it. The last comeback lasted 3 years. This will last even less. That's how they say it. Comebacks don't last that long. But the Brandon Tierney and Licata show is basically sent off permanently to the Phantom Zone. I would suggest to both of them, start to do stuff on your own. Don't be like an idiot and a loser like Evan Roberts, where he simulcasts his podcast and he makes no money extra on YouTube, because that YouTube channel can do a hell of a lot better than of course WFAN does, I would mention. But so Sal, and particularly Sal, should do a YouTube channel and do his own videos and just stick to that, and and see what else he can do. That's my thoughts on it. I've made fun of him a lot over the years, but it's all in good fun, to be honest with you. I know it didn't go over well, trust me. Headline from Awful Announcing: Sal Licata dubs Craig Carton not taking my spot comment his worst take ever. I did a video on this the other day. And Sal, he likes to put his foot in his mouth. He'll say ridiculous things, and it comes back to bite him in the ass. We've been in the loop. This is not a surprise, quote, end quote. Now, of course, in the meanwhile, please subscribe to Baseball Head 3. After talking and working around the news Tuesday, Sal, the Spanish Licata, and the Coconut Head, Brandon Tierney, addressed the Craig Carton News to open their Wednesday show. I could come up with a nickname for Craig Carton. The Felon? I don't know about that one. I'll come up with something funny. News broke while Tierney and Licata were on the air that Carton was coming back to WFAN. And I would mention, I don't take suggestions. Don't leave me any suggestions. I will come up with my own. After losing his FS1 morning show over the summer, there was immediate speculation about whether Carton could return to WFAN for a third stint. And that speculation appears to be turning into a reality. With Andrew Marchand of The Athletic reporting Carton will take over WFAN's Afternoon Drive show in January. The fallout from Carton's return is that current afternoon host Evan Roberts and Tiki Barber will take a demotion, which is ridiculous. Evan Roberts should not take a demotion. And Tiki Barber will be moved to middays. I didn't think Tiki would ever work with Carton. I could never see that. Leaving Tierney and Licata without a time slot. Now, I would mention last week, the nighttime guy, Keith McPherson, got out of Dodge. He just quit, just dropped. Put out a post on social media and he quit. I don't know if he got wind that he was in trouble, but he got the hell out of there. Quote, talk about your all-time backfire, as Licata said. The Open Wednesday show on WFAN. I never thought I'd have to. A worse take than the NL East is over. That's something he said about the Mets a few years ago in 2022. He like I said, he says a lot of ridiculous things. And unfortunately, Craigie, you're not taking my spot as we were joking about months ago. When speculation began in July about Carton possibly coming back, the Spaz quickly said he's not worried because you're not taking my spot. Several months later, it appears Carton will be taking Licata's spot, but at least he was able to joke about it. No, he took 4 spots. Licata, Tierney, Evan Roberts, and Tiki Barber. F you, F you, F you, and F you. All 4 of them. You know, he basically he didn't stab 1 person in the back, which I thought was going to be Sal. He stabbed 4 people in the back. Quote, who knows how that's going to end up here, BT? Licata continued to Tierney. Obviously, we have to acknowledge it to start the show. We read what's going on. We've been in the loop. This is not a surprise. To me, it was always inevitable when he left that he would come back. With that said, nothing is official. I'm grateful I had the opportunity to do the show with you every day and will continue to do that as long as we have the opportunity. Tierney noted the station trusts them to continue doing the show the right way in the wake of this news. On the contrary, everyone heard Michelle Beadle and Cody Decker rip Sirius XM on air after learning Stephen A. Smith was taking over the show, their show last June. The difference, however, is Beadle and Decker were blindsided by that news, while Tierney and Licata state Carton's addition was not a surprise. The time and when the news became public may have been a surprise, but the lineup changes do not appear to be. Interesting. Quote, yesterday was a tough spot, the Coconut Head said. I think a lot of people want to know why we didn't get into it on the air as things were breaking in real time. Because we're being professional, that's the short answer. Tierney said he spoke to an executive with the company this morning, so on Wednesday, who noted Carton's deal is not official. But even though the contract hasn't been signed yet, Tierney isn't ignorant to the fact that Carton is coming back. This is like, welcome back. What that means downstream, there'll be many days and shows and segments to dive into that, give you guys more clarity, the Coconut Head said. There will be a day where we do this more extensively for sure. This is not our last show, we can promise you this. And as long as we're here, we're going to do what we can, do what we do, which is what we think a pretty damn good show, and God help us. And most listeners would agree. Because the ratings for Tierney and Licata have been strong, as has the attention and social media engagement the show frequently receives. Unfortunately for Tierney and Licata, once Carton became available again, it was going to be nearly impossible for them to fend off another comeback. I would say this, don't burn your bridges there, guys. But not, like I said, comebacks don't last long, and this is a 3rd comeback, which means it's going to last half the time. If the first version of Carton was 10 years, the second version was 3 years, this will be less than 3 years. And you're going to see that. I think something will happen and that will end this relationship permanently the 3rd time around. But I feel bad for them because obviously the show had gotten to be very popular. People were talking about the show. And people were listening in. And I would mention these guys really helped build the YouTube channel that WFAN has. And they did a good job, you know, building it on YouTube. Thanks for nothing. Thanks for nothing. 2 cue balls, leaving for another cue ball. I would mention that's also a good joke for baldies. I mean that's always something to joke about is bald guys. You know, I would mention your host is not bald. I got full head of hair, thank God. So that's not nice. That's a phobia. That's a phobic. Don't be a phobia. You know, that's all right. But you know, I feel bad for them because they had built an audience. They had an audience online that was pretty strong, and now they got to leave. That's messed up. I would think that maybe one of them will get the job, or both of them will get a job there at the late night, you know, the night show. I don't know. McPherson sort of just dropped everything and left. and they really don't have a person there. I feel bad for Sal because, like I said back in July, he was the low man on the totem pole. You know, and that's that. I wonder what would have happened if Evan said, "Oh yeah, I'll stay in the afternoon drive." I would think probably Sal was probably going to be gone. I would think, and they would put Tiki back in the afternoon. I mean, in the morning, mid-morning. That's probably what they were going to do. That's probably what they were thinking. And then Evan said, "Nope, I want to stay with my husband, Barbara." Tiki. Boy, oh boy, that's it. I got a video on that. That's bizarre. That's a bizarre reason not to get back together with Carton. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. And of course, this is another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.